Today, Rome is a vibrant city, a blend of history and modern life. Its streets weave through centuries of architecture, from Baroque churches to ancient temples. Here, the Colosseum still towers over the city, the Pantheon's dome inspires architects worldwide, and the Roman Forum whispers the stories of politics, power, and ambition. Rome is famous for its monuments, art, and the empire that once ruled much of the known world. But before it became the city we know today, there was a time when Rome rose from ashes to greatness. Now we step into the history of Rome. 390 BC. The sky is black with smoke, screams echo through narrow streets, flames consume everything. Gaul warriors storm the city, slaughtering, burning, destroying. Rome is finished. At this point, Rome isn't an empire. It's barely even a city, just scattered villages clinging to survival. Most civilizations never recover from destruction like this, but Rome did something no one expected. It came back, and over the next few centuries, those ashes became the foundation of the greatest city on earth. A city of over 1 million people. A city of marble temples towering 10 stories high. A city where water flowed through the air on stone highways. A city that controlled 70 million people across 3 continents. This was ancient Rome at its peak. Using modern AI and archaeological evidence, we can now step back into that world, not as ruins, but as Romans saw it, alive. And at the center of it all stood one place, the Roman Forum. This wasn't just a plaza. This was the beating heart of an empire. Every decision that shaped the ancient world began here. In this building, the Curia, the Senate House, 600 senators gathered inside, debating laws that governed millions of lives. And remarkably, it still stands today. Just outside stood the Rostra, the speaker's platform. This is where one of the most powerful speeches in human history was delivered. Mark Antony stood here, holding the blood-stained toga of Julius Caesar. He read Caesar's will aloud. Caesar had left money and land to every citizen of Rome. The crowd was stunned, enraged, emotional. They cremated Caesar's body right there in the Forum. On that exact spot, Romans built a temple and declared Julius Caesar a god. Not a king, a god. Nearby stood a small circular temple that held something even more sacred, the Temple of Vesta. Inside burned a flame that could never go out. For over 1,000 years, Vestal Virgins protected it. Romans believed if that flame ever died, Rome itself would fall. These women served for 30 years. They lived with power and privilege no other Roman women had. But if they broke their vow of chastity, they were buried alive. This was Rome. Power and fear intertwined. But while the Forum was the center of politics, true power lived just above it. On Palatine Hill. This hill became the private world of emperors. Augustus, Rome's first emperor, built his palace here. It was modest, simple, but it marked the beginning of something new, because later emperors would build not just homes, but entire worlds. Emperor Domitian constructed massive palace complexes, the Domus Flavia, a ceremonial palace with throne rooms towering 30 meters high. Foreign kings stood here, looking up at ceilings designed to make them feel small. Next to it stood his private residence, the Domus Augustana, hidden gardens, private baths, rooms no outsider would ever see. And unbelievably, Domitian even built his own private stadium. He didn't need to go to the games. The games came to him. Because below the hill stood the largest stadium in the ancient world, the Circus Maximus. 150,000 people filled its seats. Chariot races weren't just entertainment, they were obsession. Drivers reached speeds of 75 kilometers per hour. Crashes were so violent Romans called them shipwrecks. Drivers tied reins around their waists. If they crashed, they were dragged to death. But survivors became superstars. One driver earned enough money to feed the entire city for a year. Fans formed factions, the blues, greens, reds and whites. They rioted, they killed. This was sport at its most brutal. And yet, even this wasn't Rome's most violent arena. That honor belonged to the Coliseum. 50,000 spectators filled its seats. Here, violence wasn't accidental. It was the main event. Over 400,000 people died inside this arena. Gladiators, Prisoners, slaves, animals from across the empire, lions, bears, elephants, slaughtered for spectacle. Beneath the arena floor lay a hidden machine, a labyrinth of tunnels. Slaves operated elevators that lifted animals through trapdoors. To the audience, it looked like beasts appeared from nowhere. Magic, death disguised as entertainment. But Rome wasn't only brutality, it was also brilliance. The Pantheon still stands today, nearly 2,000 years later. Its massive concrete dome spans 43 meters. No steel, no reinforcement, just Roman engineering. At the center, a single opening, the oculus, connects earth to sky. This building influenced architecture for millennia. Even today, modern domes follow its blueprint. But none of this would have worked without one critical system: water. Rome's aqueducts stretched across the landscape like stone rivers in the sky. The Aqua Claudia carried water 69 kilometers into the city. Powered by nothing but gravity, fresh water flowed constantly, into fountains, into baths, into homes. And those baths were more than hygiene. They were social centers, business deals, political discussions, friendships, all built around flowing water. But most Romans didn't live in palaces. They lived in insulae, ancient apartment buildings, 5 or 6 stories tall, crowded, no running water on upper floors. Fire was constant danger, collapse was common. Yet 90% of Romans lived this way. Every morning, they walked into a city unlike anything the world had ever seen. Markets filled with goods from across continents, temples honoring dozens of gods, streets alive with commerce, politics, and ambition. Rome wasn't just a city. It was the first true megacity, and it solved a problem no civilization had solved before. How do you make 1 million people live together successfully? Rome invented solutions we still use today. Apartment buildings, shopping centers, sports stadiums, public infrastructure, concrete construction. Modern cities, from New York to London to Tokyo, still follow Rome's blueprint. Because Rome didn't just build monuments, Rome built the future. From ashes to empire. And even after 2,000 years, we are still living in the world Rome created.